What's going on, guys? Hope you guys are doing well, and today I'm just going to be making a mouse and keyboard guide for Warzone. Let's get into it. So right now I just want to talk about sensitivities, as sensitivity is the main thing about mouse and keyboard because it's all about aim, and movement also matters, but we'll get to that later. So recently I've been playing on 2.5, so I kind of switch between 2.5 to 2 and sometimes 3.5 on 1600 DPI, and 2.5 just provides the mobility that I need, or the flexibility that I need for close range, and the control or stability that I also need for aiming in this game. So I would try starting out at 2 sensitivity at 1600 DPI. So if you are on 800 DPI, you just have to double it, so therefore it will be 4. And if you're on somehow on 400 DPI, you have to double it again, so 400 DPI on 8. But enough of that. So this sensitivity is a pretty good balance point between speed, but it's more on the focus. It's more focused on the position side. You're more arm aiming than wrist aiming, but I will get to that later on in the video. But yeah, I don't really play on this sensitivity right now. Play on 2.5. However, you could try 3.5. 3.5 is also a good starting point. It is pretty fast, so you do have to use your fingers to aim. And it can be pretty consistent if you're not really a good arm aimer, and you just like wrist aiming. However, even on this sense, you can use your arm perfectly fine. So if you're doing 180, easily you can just use your arm just like that. So arm aiming does take in place. So arm aiming is beneficial on any sense if you do use your wrist and your fingers at the same time. So all of this is default. I don't know if I changed this. ADS sensitivity multiplier is on 1. I like to keep it on 1. Some people like it on 1.8. Whoopsie daisies. Some people like it on 0.8, especially on people that run high sense, as you can ADS and have the arm movement and be more precise. And it doesn't feel too bad. I like to have more of a one-to-one feel, but at the end of the day, it's all preference. So I do have my ADS sensitivity timing or transition timing on instant. If I'm on like a 3.5 sensitivity and my ADS sensitivity was on 0.8, and as I ADS, it will instantly change the ADS sensitivity multiplier to 0.8. This ain't that bad for me because I don't really use it, so I can have it on any. But on like optics, such as any optic with a 2x 3x scope, that will change as well, because even on legacy, the scopes on any gun would not be 1-to-1, as I will show you guys, and that's a good thing. If you don't know what instant does, is basically makes you ADS 1-to-1. So I do like 1.25 if I swipe my mouse pad, and if I ADS and do the same thing, it's gonna be on the same spot, even with an optic. However, with an ACOG or like a 2x optic, it will be different. It will be more slower, but that makes sense because as you ADS, it zooms you in more, so your FOV drops, and therefore it will feel kind of the same as what your sensitivity is. And you don't want the optics 1-to-1. You can make it 1-to-1, however, it just makes the sensitivity so fast, and it feels like you're playing on double the sensitivity that you should be playing on. So if you're on relative and you're on a 1080p monitor, make sure your monitor distance coefficient is 1.78. Some people like to run 1.33, but that's all preference. Some people like to run 0, but that's all preference. If I'm running relative, I'm running 1.78 on 1080p. If you're on a 1440p monitor or a widescreen monitor, it's gonna vary. So make sure you do your research on that. But I prefer legacy. And I do recommend people changing the sense. Obviously, don't change your sense mid-game because you're not really gonna perform that much. Change it like after like a couple days or so if you're not liking the sensitivity. Changing your sensitivity is a good thing, as if you play on a higher sense, you're using muscles that you don't really use, such as your fingers, and if you're using a lower sense, you're using your arm and your forearm and your shoulder, and you can basically just practice on that. And you know, when you switch to your normal sensitivity, your aim will feel smooth. So in terms of keybinds, I mostly have everything on default except for prone to dive, which I might change to push to talk, because push the torque on Z or Z is just criminal. I do have my slide and dive all binded on C, and that just makes it so much easier to snake, to crouch as well. Some people like to use control, that's just preference. However, I do recommend using C, because if you do use control, you're gonna have to let go of the shift button, and that makes it a lot more harder to snake. However, in games like Counter-Strike or Valorant, it does make sense to have control as your crouch button, because you're committing to that fight. Following that, I do have my prone to dive as control, because if I do press control, I am committing with the drop shot. For next weapon, I use Q. It's just because I came from controller, because I just like pressing a button instead of a scroll wheel instead, because sometimes I can over scroll and just mess up my momentum, or just pull out the wrong gun when I'm in a fight. So I just prefer using Q, as it's just one button. I switch just like that. This is an important one. Melee or finishing move, whatever bind you press it on, V or middle mouse or side buttons, make sure dedicated melee weapon activation is on press melee, because when you press that button, when you press the melee button, it will pull out your knife instantly, so you don't have to hold it. That means you can make plays much more faster and consistent. If this dummy is shooting at me and I'm on one shot, I can just press the knife and just dip, just like that. For tactical equipment, I use the mouse 5, which is this button on my mouse button, and that just makes it easier for me to stim or use a grapple hook, because I think by default this is on E, but I have my lethals on the middle click right here, because I use E to ping. So when I'm shooting at somebody, I can ping them easily with the E button. Movement, these are my movement settings. Tap to slide. I do have slide and prone differently, so if I want a dolphin dive, I press the mouse button, and that's beneficial if you're going from one building to another, because you get that extra boost. So all of these I have off, corner slides and stuff like that. Sprint restores, slide maintains sprint, that's all on. Advanced movement, yeah, so it's independent, I don't have it shared. Now walk speed, and I don't walk. As a mouse and keyboard player, you don't have to walk, you have only movement, it's fine. If I do want to walk and move slowly so I don't be heard, usually what I do is just ADS and move. But that just depends on the gun. As you can see, the SMG is way more faster than the AR. Make sure parachute automatic behavior is set to off. This makes it so it doesn't auto parachute, and therefore you can just land faster and you can land more on the ground, and it makes it so much easier if I'm landing through like a window in CC. But you do have to get used to the timing, and you do have to remember that you don't have this setting off, because you can actually kill yourself. In terms of combat, I have everything set default, and guys, default is not bad. You don't need special keybinds to play good. All you need is mainly just movement, a couple settings or binds that suits your preference, and just aim. And yeah, so when I'm controlling recoil, I use my fingers to control it. I mean, sometimes I'll use my arm, but that's just too much for this game. I would use my arm to control recoil in like Siege or something where it has a lot of recoil. But most of the times I'm just using my fingers to aim. And sometimes I'll just use my wrist. I am aiming a bit shit because I haven't really played a lot. And my grip is just a normal relaxed claw grip. I used to have like a hybrid type grip where I just have this knuckle just contacting, and the rest is just fingertip and wrist and arm obviously. But I have switched to just a relaxed claw because I can still like use my fingers to ADS. It does provide more stability. So since I'm in like a medium to low or high sensitivity, if I'm swiping to do like a 180, what I would usually do is set my hand or my palm higher on the mouse so I don't make contact with the mouse pad, and this makes it so I have less friction, and it makes it so much more easier and smoother to maneuver or just look around with your arm. I'm normally aiming like this with like 25 and 10 meters. If someone's really far away, I'll put my palm on the mouse pad and aim with my wrist or fingers, because far away the target isn't moving that fast, and that's just how it works. Someone comes close to me and does like and just slides like this, it's going to be way harder for me to react and maneuver. But if someone slides from, I don't know, let's say 50 meters, they're going to slide like here, and I still have my full view on them, so I can just flick like this or just track them. And for everyone noticing, I do have an OP1 8K, which I'll be getting rid of soon, because I'll be getting the XM, is it XM? MX2. It's a bigger mouse than this, because this is a bit small for my hands, but it's really good. I still like it. I just want something that's a bit wider so I can have like a more comfortable claw grip on. So this is what I call a hybrid claw relaxed grip. I use my fingers to aim. Sometimes if someone's vertical, instead of using my arm to aim up, usually what I would do is use my fingers to aim up, as it's more responsive and it can be more accurate. I'll try to use my arm. It's more harder, as you guys can see, but if I use my fingers, it's like phew, snappy. And one thing I do want to get into is when you're target switching. So if I kill this dummy right here and I want to switch to this one right here, what I usually do is I use a mix between my arm, my wrist and my fingers, and sometimes my shoulder. So I'll do that all at once, and as you guys can see, I just barely miss the target. However, if I use my fingers or my wrist to micro adjust back on the target, you can do it so fast that you wouldn't even notice. See? Well, it was going bad and good. But you guys know what I mean. See, I'm doing it consistently now because I'm trying to focus. And also, talk about focusing, you guys kind of need to be in the flow state in order to play good. So staying silent, obviously have some basic comms, oh, this guy is one shot, or he is in mansion, or something like that. But be in a flow state where you're just locked in. You got good airflow coming in the room. Your room can affect your gaming. And what I mean by that, you produce CO2 and we take O2. Now if you do have your door closed or your window closed, your room is eventually going to fill up with CO2 and the oxygen is going to run out. And obviously you're not going to die obviously, but you're going to lose the lack of focus. Make sure you guys keep your doors and windows open. Let some O2 come into your room so you can play better. It will increase your reaction time a lot. So sometimes you'll be saying, oh, one game I'm performing well, but the next game I'm performing shit. And that's one of the main causes, because if you inhale a lot of CO2, your reaction time will go up and you will just feel like so moody, your arm becomes heavy, so you just need some fresh air too. That's basically all I have for sensitivity. I will show my Aimlabs soon. I am going to show the graphics because it is a settings video. So display, I have AMD anti-lag on. For you guys, it'll probably be reflex boost if you're on Nvidia, and that's basically it. Sometimes I am on native, but sometimes I will switch to a 4:3 resolution, such as this one, which is stretch. And these two, 1600 by 1200 and 1440 by 1080, is literally, it's the same aspect ratio. It's just this one's just a higher quality. For quality, talking about quality, I use FSR upscaling and I use it on native. Quality just seems meh. DLSS is better in Warzone. I don't know about other games, but yeah, frame gen off, you get input latency. Now texture resolution, usually I have it on low, this on normal, depth of field off because that creates a blur when you ADS. Detail quality low. I was just experimenting with high settings and I was getting the FPF's impact. Shader quality, I'll keep that on medium. On demand texture streaming, that just depends on the internet, but keep it minimal and that. Local texture streaming low, but it does make like the distance from where you are a bit shit in terms of quality. In-game video is, because there's a way I can turn this shit off. Like I don't want things moving, I mean, it's whatever. Shadow quality normal. screen space shadows, I have this on low, not off, because you can actually see, I don't know if this is still true, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can see players that are on top of you and you can see their shadows. So I'll keep that on low. It's competitive advantage. Turn this shit off. I mean, you can have it on medium. I mean, it makes the game look more like neater. As you guys can see, this looks a bit fake, but it's all preference. If you're struggling with performance, have it off. And water, all this off. And that's basically it. FOV I play on 110 because I'd like to see things. 120 does feel nice though. ADS field of view is effective as you ADS because if you do have it on independent, as you ADS, it's going to switch to 80 FOV. Weapon field of view, make sure that's on wide. As you guys can see a lot more. You can see your whole arm and stuff like that. It just feels nice. Motion blur, weapon motion blur off. First person camera movement on least, because you know, if you get PA'd or some explosion happens right next to you, it won't shake your camera as much. Inverted flashbang on, because I have it off. I don't know why I had it off, but I like it on because someone flashes you, it'll be black instead of, you know, in CSGO where you get flashed like 5 times on Mirage defending A site. In terms of audio, I use Sucker Punch. But apart from that, that's all I have on for now. So we are in Aimlabs. I'm going to give you my warm-up routine first, and then I'm going to switch to training. Now you don't have to copy me straight up, but I'm just going to give you guys an example. So we start with Grid Shot Ultimate right here. You can search it up. So I can just press favorite and then click on Grid Shot Ultimate. This just gives me like a warm-up. This is not training at all. This is more of like a gimmick, I would say. This is like editing in Fortnite, basically. So I don't even know what sensitivity I'm on. As you guys can see, my mouse has changed and I did get a new table, so everything feels a bit off. However, I'm still aiming. But normally you don't have to go this fast, by the way, just to warm up. If you cannot hit your shots, make sure you're doing it slowly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The thing with this is have a rhythm. It's like a beat. So it goes doon 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 doon. If you like have it on my beat, which will be fast, doon 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 doon. I mean, it sounds weird, I'm not gonna lie, but you can have a rhythm. This can make you consistent, but this is just for warming up in Aimlabs. You're better off just playing the game instead. Playing the game will benefit you a lot more than just playing Aimlabs. And that's with 350 hours on Aimlabs. You can use your arm with this. This just makes you warm up. Some people call it a burnout, and it kind of is a burnout. However, if you're just warming up, then that's completely fine. See, even I am missing shots, but I don't play Aimlabs like this anymore. Sometimes I just use it to warm up, and that's about it. You can see I'm slowing down sometimes when I miss a shot, and then speeding back up. However, making it slow, let's just make it slow. I'm hitting way more shots. That's 104k. I mean, I average around 100k, but I'm not trying to flex my Aimlabs. It's just I've been on this game for many hours, 350 hours, so it's gonna be like that. If you're starting out, do not use Grid Shot. Grid Shot is not the best training. It's more of a gimmick, like I said before. What I'd highly recommend you guys to use if you're struggling is go on Static Click and 6 Shot. 6 Shot is more stressful, I would say, in terms of your arm, because you have to micro adjust way more. However, with Static Click, you're making a lot of wide flicks, because from here to here, I have to use my whole arm and my wrist and fingers to flick on that. We go here. I think I'm going a little too fast. This is my first time on Aimlabs in a while, so. But yeah, you get the gist. Usually with Static Click, you just click here, flick on your next target. See, I missed, so I got a micro adjust back onto target. And bear in mind that this Aimlabs has no visual recoil, no recoil. It's just where you aim. and there's no bloom and all that nonsense that's in Call of Duty, even in CSGO and Valorant. So you can go slow like this. If you're really bad, try pick a sensitivity. Obviously I play on this medium sense. I play on 34 centimeters per 360, so that's what I recommend anyone can use. Anywhere between 20 centimeters per 360 and around 60 centimeters per 360, that is acceptable. But I do recommend a lower sense, not just for Aimlabs but for other games as well. If you're playing something like Overwatch, a higher sense is recommended, but this sensitivity does the job. So static click is more about using your arm, wide flicking, and this is very beneficial if someone comes up in an unpredictable area where you can just easily flick to them. As you guys can see, I'm using my arm for vertical movement, I use my fingers also for vertical movement and micro adjusting, and I use my wrist for just flicking. And my palm is not touching the mouse pad right now because I'm moving a lot. Dynamic friction or this dynamic flicking, I use that hover over thing. My palm is not touching the mouse pad. See, I'm going nice and slow here. I'm not really going too fast. Okay, that's a bit fast, but yeah, you guys get it. Now if we move on to 6-shot ultimate, I play everything on ultimate. These targets are way smaller, and this will also increase your accuracy. So if you're a beginner, you're gonna struggle on this so much. And this is where being on low sensitivity helps a lot. So just make sure you're on target, and then when you click flick, using your fingers or your arm, or sometimes you can't really flick vertically with your wrist because it's horizontal, but so I use my fingers just like this. As you guys can see, my fingers only, just like that. And sometimes this is a big thing also, I should really turn on the light. So this is all preference, but it just depends on you. So you have like a little radius or circle, it's more like an oval shape, or maybe just a circle I guess, and if you go over that circle, you're going to miss a lot of shots. However, if you stay in this circle or this oval shape, you're going to be very precise and consistent. So you got to figure out what is your comfortable zone within the mouse and the mouse pad. So what I mean, if I flick here and here, but here is too much, I could use my arm and micro adjust, or I can just readjust and just do it again. As you guys can see, micro adjust, I can just recenter, just like that. You see on that last flick I readjusted. A lot of people do this, by the way, and this makes it so that you're way more consistent, you're in your comfort zone, and it just feels natural. Even someone like me with 350 hours miss shots, that's completely normal. But the main thing is with this, you should not be stressing out too much. Your arm shouldn't be super tense. This is like calm aim, I guess. Make sure your arms relax, because if you put too much tension, you're gonna get shaky. And then you will have less friction because you're pushing down on the mouse, so it's gripping it hard, and there's less friction. It's way more harder to micro adjust, really hard. So if you keep it light, soft, there's literally no friction at all, and it feels nice to shoot, flick, and even track. So in terms of warm-up, I go in grid shot, static click, and 6-shot. And then if I don't really feel that good, I just repeat it in reverse. So I do 6-shot again, static click, and I finish it off with grid shot. So that's normally my warm-up routine. Like I said before, I don't always do it because most of the times I don't need it. I can just go in the firing range and just shoot a little bit and I'm good to go. Or play one casual match and then I switch to rank. If you are, however, struggling with tracking, horizontal smoothness is really good. So I don't really play this a lot anymore because my tracking is fine, but you guys can see my tracking isn't going to be the greatest. So all you do is just track this dummy. This is kind of unrealistic. However, this will make you better because as you can see, the target is so skinny. In game, the targets are way thicker or wider, and you can track them way easy than this target right here. It's like I'm tracking a stick. That's another benefit of using stretch res. This will be more wider However, I just stick to native because I've been playing native my whole life. So in terms of tracking, I either use my arm from here. You guys, oh, you can't, from here. So this is like an anchor point. I used my track, I track like this with my arm. This is the pivot point. Or I sometimes just track with my wrist. As you can see, I readjusted because I can't move my wrist all the way to the right, just like that. See, my wrist is blocking, but I have way more motion, as you guys can see, on the left side. So that's why I sometimes just use my arm like this. Or I have it the T-Rex method of playing the game, where your arm is on the table at like some X, almost like a T-Rex. That's where the name comes from. And this gives you a wide range of motion. Sometimes keeping it straight like this, that's also fine. And just tracking like that, that's fine, but I prefer the T-Rex way. I've just been using it, I'm used to it, and yeah, it's just what works for me. But now there's 2 ways, like I said, there's actually 3 ways of tracking this target. Actually 4 ways. First way is tracking with your wrist. Tracking with your wrist, just like that. This, I find it consistent, the wrist tracking, because the wrist is more accurate than the arm. Or you can track with your arm, which is a little bit harder, but it's still doable. Or you can track just with your fingers. I call this the butt wiggle. So you do that, you do this with the fingers. This is only my fingers, by the way, and I do miss shots because the target is going a bit too fast. Or another way, which is my way, is using everything. Using your arm, using your wrist, and your fingers. Now this is, I'm not really playing good because I'm not used to this, guys. If I get used to it, I think my aim will be a little bit better. But if you're someone who's new to just aiming on the mouse and keyboard and stuff like that, Aimlabs will help. However, if you're not new to Aimlabs or you already have good aim in a game, Aimlabs won't really help you that much. Unless you're struggling with using your fingers or using your wrist or your arm, you can easily train one of those muscle groups to help you get better aim, and that's what I did. But now I'm pretty decent with my fingers, wrist, and my arm, so I don't really need to use it. However, I still use Aimlabs either to warm up, or if I'm changing my sensitivity, I'll use that. If I'm trying out a new grip, just like the relaxed claw, because I used to play a different claw grip. And yeah, that's basically it with Aimlabs. There is another playlist that I used to train a lot, and that was, so I used to play on VT Minigod's Demon 1 aim routine. Now Demon 1, I mean, he's not the best VCT player, but I used to use this training routine that was created by AimGod, I believe. And this is really nice in terms of just training your aim. So I'm using my fingers, my wrist. I'm not really using my arm because he's not moving too much. This is reactive tracking, by the way. It's not really common in Warzone. It's more common in Apex, Overwatch, and Marvel Rivals. But in Call of Duty, this is unrealistic. As you guys can see, I played this a lot. My high score is 6.2k, which is pretty high. But I don't really play this anymore. Like, I don't find any benefits from it anymore unless if I want to warm up. However, if you're struggling to aim, I would highly recommend this playlist. It's still really good, even for today's standards. There could be better playlists that you guys could search up, but this is what I used to play. This is how I took my aim from 0 to hero. Training and stuff like that, it's gonna take time. You're not gonna become a master overnight. I wouldn't even consider myself a master because my aim is just, it's good. That's it. It can get better if I train and play a lot, but I don't really play too much. So if you just stick to a game like Call of Duty, you will eventually get better just by just playing it. And if you're the type of guy, this is in my opinion, by the way, so take this with a grain of salt. If you're the type of guy to play a bit of Call of Duty, a bit of Siege, a bit of Valorant or CSGO, you're not really gonna improve. You're gonna just play different games and just it's gonna take a while for you to improve. So stick to one game that you can improve on. Then once you get good, then you can switch your game. If you don't like the game you're playing, just stop playing it. But in terms of competitive games, stick to one game and get good at it before you switch to another game, unless you're bored of the game or you're just really bad and you just can't be asked. Now that's about it for this video. Let me know if I missed out on anything else. Now this is how I took my aim from shaky and shit, pretty good,